With a possible strike 4 days away, the MTA says it's trying to make a deal. Bruce Blakeman wins a big money battle in his bid to become governor. Thousands of acres of trees have been destroyed by tiny beetles. See what's being done to protect the rest. You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Buffa. We'll have more on those stories in a moment, but first, worshippers are trying to create the island's first Muslim-owned cemetery in Suffolk, but it's running into some problems. Virginia Huey has a story you'll see only in Newsday.
I'm not going to go for this, I got to tell you. It's not the right, proper place for these people.
With this cemetery going in, I believe property value is going to go down on Carver Boulevard.
Although this is not my culture, I believe everyone should be able to have their own cemetery.
A heated debate at Brookhaven Town Hall about a proposal to build the first Muslim cemetery on Long Island. Abdul Aziz Boyan, the leader of the Hillside Islamic Center in New Hyde Park, presented plans at a Brookhaven Town Hall meeting last month. It calls for a 12,000-plot burial ground on nearly 14 acres of land on Beaver Dam Road in Bellport.
Muslims have been living here for centuries, and we hope to have the first ever, probably in New York State, have a Muslim cemetery owned and run by Muslims.
Boyan says it is a challenge for Long Island Muslims to find burial grounds that cater to the needs of their faith. As Newsday has reported, the Muslim section of Washington Memorial Cemetery in Mount Sinai is running out of plots. Boyan says mosque members go as far away as New Jersey and upstate New York to bury their loved ones.
That is a huge hindrance for us as far as that, that obligation that we need to bury the body right away. So that's why we would prefer to have it here close by.
Opponents of the proposed cemetery expressed concerns ranging from traffic issues to possible contamination of drinking water wells by embalming fluids or decomposing bodies.
There have been multiple articles and studies that show cemeteries are a vast source of contaminants. Arsenic, formaldehyde, heavy metals, gases, viruses, bacteria, and minerals.
This project will generate intermittent, high-impact traffic events, particularly during funeral services.
Brookhaven Town Supervisor Dan Panico said those concerns are unfounded.
They do not embalm. There is never large traffic numbers on that portion of Granny Road.
We will have the security fence, we will have a well-leaded place, and so this will be nice for them.
For Newsday TV, I'm Virginia Huey.
The MTA is still working to iron out a deal before workers decide to go on strike. Now, the unions say they will go on strike this Saturday if a deal is not reached. Both sides are stuck on the terms of the last year of the 4-year contract. And first in Newsday, a judge says Bruce Blakeman can get state matching funds for his campaign for governor. The Public Campaign Finance Board denied Blakeman access to the money, citing a paperwork error. The Nassau County executive is challenging incumbent Democrat Kathy Hochul, who already has a $20 million campaign war chest. And the town of Hempstead approved a plan to crack down on so-called McMansions in Levittown. The footprint of a home will now be limited to 27.5% of the property. It used to be 30%. Now, many residents complain that older homes are being torn down and huge homes were being built, changing the character of their community. And a former Nassau Community College president and Hofstra University dean has died. Sean Finelli served as president of Nassau Community College for 27 years. He later served as dean of Hofstra School of Education for 3 years and was a professor for the past decade. Finelli was 88 years old. And next Tuesday, Long Islanders will vote on their school district budgets. Now, according to a Newsday analysis, total spending in public schools could rise an average of 3.25%. That translates into nearly $17 billion in spending if voters approve budgets in all 124 districts. About a third of the districts are calling for staffing or program reductions. All right, let's take a quick look at tomorrow's weather. What a gorgeous day we had today. Tomorrow we'll have some clouds and wind, temps in the 60s. Of course, we'll have that 7-day forecast for you later in the broadcast.
It's been more than a decade since they arrived on the island, and in that time, the southern pine beetle has destroyed acres and acres of trees across Long Island. They're especially prevalent in the Pine Barrens. Andrew Renger shows us the damage.
On a hike through the forest surrounding Brookhaven National Lab in Upton, it didn't take long to find the damage caused by the southern pine beetle.
There we go. Blue stain fungus and galleries.
The gallery's natural resource manager, Kathy Schwager, says are caused by the tiny beetle burrowing through the bark of the pitch pine trees that cover the lab's grounds and the Pine Barrens here on Long Island. The southern pine beetle is about the size of a single chocolate sprinkle, but they can kill a tree and forest rapidly.
How old is this?
Maybe a month, maybe 2. I mean, this tree is going to be dead in a couple of weeks.
The southern pine beetle first showed up on the island about a dozen years ago. Since then, it's devastated tens of thousands of acres and has created a wildfire risk.
It's scary.
So with all the damage the southern pine beetle has done here on Long Island, what needs to be done to get a handle on the problem? Well, the experts say better forestry management is definitely needed.
There's no silver bullet.
John Wernett, the regional forester from the state DEC, says the insect has done such damage because our forests were too dense, allowing it to reproduce rapidly and move easily from tree to tree. Now he and others across the island are working to thin remaining forests, cutting down trees and carefully burning acres of land, then incinerating the rest with highly efficient mobile air curtain burners. The goal here, he says, is to get the Pine Barrens and other forests on the island thinned out to slow the beetle's spread.
This is what the forest should look like. This is the end goal, is what we're looking for.
Meantime, the DEC and others are monitoring the insect's movement and behaviors with special traps.
With the traps, that's the early warning system.
That's what we're looking for.
Back at Brookhaven National Laboratory, Kathy Schwager says improving the island's forest has and will cost millions of dollars, but it's necessary.
So it's here, that's it. You know, we need to get our forests to a point where they're healthy enough that they're coming into some kind of equilibrium. So it's not to say you won't have outbreaks here and there, but there'll be a balance.
In Upton, Andrew Enger, Newsday TV.
Joining me now to discuss the wide-ranging effects this could have on the island's environment is Newsday environmental reporter Tracy Tullis, Kathy Schwager with the Environmental Protection Division of Brookhaven National Lab, and John Wernett, a New York State DEC regional forester. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Tracy, we want to start with you, get a little background on this. Why are these bugs so prevalent in the Pine Barrens?
Well, the first reason I would say is climate change, because the southern pine beetles are native to the southeastern United States, but with the warming winters, they've been able to move north. They're now as far north as Cape Cod. And they've been able to survive the winters here now that they're warmer. And then once they did get here, they found in the Pine Barrens their favorite food. The prevalent pine species in the Pine Barrens is the pitch pines, and unfortunately that happens to be the type of tree that they like the best.
Okay, yeah, we're seeing it for sure. Kathy, why are the Pine Barrens so important when it comes to our environment? Why do we need to protect the space?
So aside from the fact that our Pine Barrens are located over our aquifer, so it's responsible for filtering, any water that comes through and water that we're drinking. It's important from an ecological standpoint because it is a globally rare ecosystem. There's only one of 3 Atlantic coastal Pine Barrens ecosystem in the whole world. So there are, species here or species assemblages here that you can't find anywhere else.
Tracy, what makes the beetles' damage so devastating?
They have, by means of pheromones, which are sort of chemical signals that different types of animals, not just insects, use to alert other animals to danger, and in this case to a food source. So they can call in reinforcements, and thousands of beetles can come and infest a tree, and they can kill it very quickly.
John, let's get over to you. Are these pine beetles ever going away? Could we ever see the end to them at this point?
No, unfortunately, it's here and it won't go away.
Okay, so what is their lasting effect on Long Island, since this is something we're just going to have to deal with now?
The lasting effect is we're just going to see widespread dying of trees, sadly. But the hope is with the active management that we're doing that we can protect as many acres as we can.
Right. All right, Kathy, are there any positives to this situation? Because it kind of sounds like doom and gloom, right? Is there anything we can take from this that's kind of an upside to it?
I think so. I think it's brought to light. I mean, we're here, right? This is happening, and we're educating people. I think people are finally starting to realize that we do need to manage these forests. Pine Barrens, they need management. They can't. If we don't manage Pine Barrens, we'll lose the pines altogether. And that's not just because of southern pine beetle, but it's because over time it gets outcompeted by other species. So if you don't have pine, you don't have Pine Barrens, right? So we're finally, I think, getting this attention, which I think is really important. And I think at some point, as time goes on, if we continue to do management at the scale that we need to, that we're going to come into some kind of balance with the southern pine beetle. It's not to say that we won't have outbreaks, but I think it's not going to be at the scale that we're seeing now.
Southern pine beetle has also been spotted in Nassau County as well, but experts say they're less of a threat because there are no large pitch pine forests there. So my thanks again to Tracy Tullis, Kathy Schwager, and John Wernetz for their expertise on this topic. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you. You can read more about the southern pine beetle on our website, newsday.com.
All right, so many of us are looking forward to grilling hamburgers and hot dogs this summer. So in this week's LI Works, I found out what it's like to be a butcher and what advice they have for your next barbecue. Now grab some meat. We're becoming butchers. Let's grab a number and meet the meat man behind the counter.
Hi, my name is John Poulos. I'm a butcher here at Cow Palace. I've been doing this for about 30 plus years. I'm happy that I get to feed people, give people the courtesy and respect and the service they deserve.
Poulos says to be a butcher, you have to be able to carve out as many skills as possible.
The butcher is trained from A to Z. He knows the whole part of the animal. What are good for roasts, what's good for steaks, what's good for stew, what's good for chopped meat.
And says the skills and knowledge you develop don't happen overnight. In fact, it could be a grind.
Grueling years, grueling hours, 12, 13 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week.
Dedication is one portion. Speed and the pressures of the job is another.
You got lists of meat that's ordered from the day before. Got customers calling in. You got customers lining up on the door. You need to take care of restaurants. There you go.
Quarter to chicken. Now, I may not have speed, but I do have curiosity. What's worse, ketchup on steak or well done steak?
I would say well done steak.
Yeah, me too.
It hurts to hear that.
And with the summer grilling season coming up, I was curious if this master butcher would share some advice on how to not yuck your chuck.
Worst cut I would say is the London broil. Open.
Why?
Because I just want to grill the outside. The inside, I like them juicy. Biggest mistake is putting meat right over the fire.
Now, although butchers are known to spend most of their time in the back of the house, Poulos says the best butchers know how to operate the front.
Customers are your life. Customers are the key to everything.
Because if you can fill displays, orders, and tables, a job as a butcher is a cut above the rest.
At the end of the day, I know I fed a lot of people. A lot of stomachs have been stuffed. That's rewarding for me.
All right, let's take a look at your 7-day forecast. So tomorrow we're going to deal with that wind, but temps will be in the 60s. Thursday, Friday, we have to deal with rain, but Saturday, Sunday, look at that. It's going to be gorgeous out. Temps in the 70s, mid 70s for Sunday. Just absolutely amazing weekend, finally.
Long Island weather is brought to you by Fire Island Ferries.
Now, for more on the stories you've seen here today, head over to Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. I'm Ken Bufa. More news coming up.
Newsday's investigation on unsolved deaths across Long Island has prompted contact from families seeking answers. Now we continue to probe the cases and what can be done to bring closure to victims' families. The Forgotten Revisited, now available at Newsday.com.